right, guys. So before we start, do you guys have any questions, anything in your mind wanted to clear out? Last questions, please go ahead. Anything? Whatever we discussed so far yesterday about Appian and all. No? Great. Okay, let me share my screen quickly. So anyone has thought about what we will be developing, like uh, what application we will be building here? Any use case in your mind? Anyone? No? Please think of one. Okay. All right.
Can we have something insurance related or
Insurance related. Okay, we can work on something around claim area.
because
All
I
right.
never worked on that, but
Okay, fine. So, okay, so as we know, right, we have people here who someone who knows Appian a bit, someone is totally new. So what we'll go, from the very scratch level, so that none of us can miss anything, right? All right. So yesterday we discussed about this application window. This is designer, basically in Appian, right? And as we can see here, you give you multiple options to navigate in this navigation menu here. So we can go with the Appian RPA cloud database. If you use your original in your company, then you will see few more. You may see admin console, you may see tempo, and those tabs here, options as well. So basically, I can show you. Let's say if I put it here as instead of design, I use tempo. So by default, this was the page where you know the Appian were allowing user to work on. Here you can see there are multiple tabs: news, tasks, record, reports, and actions. So let's say if you wanted to take a new action on any of the application, we need to come here, and then yeah, from your application, you can take an action here, right? So this was a very old process because, and you see like, right, it looks like you are working on a tool. So that's why they created a site now where you can look and feel wise it will give you that you are working on of your application. But yes, knowing this is also important. So action tabs allows you to take a new action. Let's say, for example, I want to open a new account. I can see this action here directly. Initiate new account opening process. We can search for a customer, and then once you search for a customer, you get the result. You hit next. All those things that you need to learn what kind of account you want to create, any balance you wanted to put something. So all those new actions, if you want to take, right, you can come to the action tab. Right. Now, once you complete taken your action, so you might be having some more tasks to finish, right? As part of your application, you have to finish some tasks. Those tasks will be listed under the task tab. So let's say, for example, you can see it says that, I have a task for manager approval form. I might be a part of some managers group, so I can see, okay, there's some task here. I need to take a decision, so I can select it, and then, uh, I can say submit. So if I want to complete any task, now we can come to the task tab. Right. We also have a news tab. News tab is basically if you wanted to publish any news as a whole application, as a company, then you can use this feature, but it's very rarely used now. It basically puts your deployment post here. All right. Then we have records. Records is basically, all the records that you have in your system. If you wanted to give a shortcut on the record to be displayed here, so that user can go and access the records, so you can, have it here and you can see all those records that we have. Now, what's an Appian record is basically, it's a backbone. I say that personally, it's a backbone of Appian where you can do all the things whatever you wanted. So you need to mention, splitly that, okay, this record I wanted to display under the record tab, then those records will be listed here. Right now, only one was listed. I will, based on the permissions I can see. So you see, this is a customer record where I can see all the customer details, and then we can create a new customer, we can update it. We will also be creating this customer records. We'll see that, right? And then we have a report tab. So report tab is basically if you wanted to design any report, like graphical representation of your data, you can create a report and you can publish that. So it will come under here. If you click on that, you will be able to see the graphical representation of your data, or maybe tabular information, or whatever you wanted to create, you can see here. Okay. So this is the tempo, which was the front end for all the users initially. Now everyone has moved to the site. Any question here, guys?
Yeah, Ravi, as you mentioned, like earlier, it's tempo. Now also it's tempo, but majorly people are using site. So as I
Mhm.
see in tempo, let's say we have five process application.
Mhm.
So action items and task items of all those five process application can be listed in tempo. But in
Yeah. So
sites, it would be individual or all those can be clubbed in one site.
no, no, no. It will be clubbed. It can be. You see here, right? On your left hand side, you have as a logged user, I have access of one, two, three, four applications. So I'm able to see all four here and all the associated information here. Let's see if I go and just select supply chain management, then it will be give you only one action here. So by default, it will be all will be listed. If you wanted to work on a specific, you can have that filter here. Or let's say if you wanted to mark someone as an your star, like bookmark something. So let's say I want to select this one as a bookmark, right? Because we may have 20 or maybe 50 or 100 listed here. So if you have something that you want to work regularly, right? So you can mark as a star here. Then if you click on it here, it will give you that one. So these things you can
Yes.
do.
And in sites, it would be individual only, right? For one
Site,
process.
yes, that's the property of the site, that the site is designed. I mean, you can club there, but the fundamental of a site is that it should be specific to an application, so that you don't get confused. What are the part you are and then why you are seeing multiple. Because here, if you a new user will come, right, they say, oh, why I have so much of accents here, right? So it's not. I mean, you can group it by clicking here, but by default it will be listed all of them.
Yes, yes. Thanks, sir.
All right. So this was the tempo page. I'm not sure if someone is using this now, but yeah, this is the one of the Appian feature that we have. Now let's navigate to the Appian Designer. So Appian Designer, as I mentioned yesterday, so that Appian Designer will be the window for you, all of you, to go and make some do some deployment. I mean, development and deployment. Whatever you will design your application, we'll do it from here, right? So before creating a new application, we'll talk about, we'll just give us introduction of all the objects that we have in Appian and one of its properties. So you see that there's one application, a sandbox application, like, if you want to create some money dummy. I hope everyone has logged in, right? You guys got your environment.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So you might be getting your own sandbox, right, with your some work ID, because now they have started. Initially they used to give, as a separate instance to everyone, but now what Appian has done, that they have created one common instance for India, one common instance for US, and I think one common instance for maybe Germany. So within that they will create your work ID, and based on that work ID you will see your sandbox. And they are asking us to, so that we can create a new application with this work ID, so that they can identify which application has been created by whom, right? So we will follow this. Now, one application that I have, sandbox application, inside that I have created some dummy, process models. We will be also creating few more for learning purpose. So what are the objects are there in Appian that we will be creating for our application? If you go, all are here. If you see here, object types, these are the object types we use to create an application, right? So if you go to the new, from here you can see all the object types that you need to create it. So let's start from the record type, because record type is very important, and it's the backbone of Appian development now. So we start with that. Anyone has any idea what the record types? We have some Appian folks. I mean, who knows? What's the record type? Come on, guys. All right. See, so record type as an object, it it can club your information from one entity. When I say entity, it could be a database, it could be a third party variable, or multiple entities. So it can club your information from one or more entities and display in a list or grid format. Now, what else it allows you to do? It also allows you to take action on those data, right? Now, let's say, for example, we have a table called customer, and I have a table called, let's say, their salary details, right? And I want to create a record so that I can have the information of customer and their associated salary in one view, right? Earlier, we used to create a view in table database, right? But what is the property of the view? That it iterate itself first, and then if you link with something, that will also take some time. So view is a if it's a view is a complex, it takes a lot of time to prepare the data and give it to you as a result, right? Then Appian come up with this approach of having adding the relationship where it says that I can create one record for customer, one record for salary details, and we can join these two records to get the combined information. And that's called the data fabric concept in Appian. So data fabric is just where you can bring the information from multiple places and you can club it together to give you a whole representation, and then you can take action on it. Let's say I want to update customer information or maybe salary information, we can do that, and then all will get updated to their according tables. So that's what the record is. It also, I mean, bring your data in a structure format, right? Because that we are connecting with the table, so table is a structure format. So it's combine the data in a structure format. Right. Any question?
Nothing so nice.
Right. Now there was, I mean, right, still it is there. I mean, there is a concept also called query entity, which required a CDT, custom data type, and data store. Okay, so we see that those custom CDT data type and data store is not here now in as an option. But if you use your real-time organizations application, you will be able to see that data type and data store also as an option. So what is the data type and data store is basically data type is a structure of your data that you want it to hold. Like let's say, for example, I want to create an employee form. An employee form has 10 fields: first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, email, whatever, right? To capture the value, we need 10 variables, right? But working with those 10 variables will be very difficult because at the end, we will have to club all those 10 variables at one place so that we can go and write to the database, right? So to overcome this issue, they created a class in Appian which is called a custom data type. So what is a class in Java? We just collect the different information at one place, right? So that's what they created a data type. That's called custom data type. Can anyone tell me what is a primitive data type?
Or it's an integer, right?
Right.
Mm.
So
Date
integer,
type integer.
boolean, date, text, right? Individual types are called primitive data types. When you club multiple primitive data type at one place, which is called custom data type in Appian. So we can create, instead of 10 different variables, we can create one custom data type as an employee, and then we can have first name, middle name, last name within that, right? So that was the data type. But why Appian is now asking us to, they are promoting record more instead of using this CDT and custom data type and then data store. Before going there, let me explain you the data store. So data store was a common point which connects your data type to your table. Okay, that was a common point to connect your data type to a table. So what data store was doing, it was giving a link between your custom data type and your database table. So in the custom data type property, you will have something to identify that, okay, this particular CDT is mapped with which table, right? Let's say, for example, in your database, you have an employee table which has 10 fields. So in the custom data type property, we can create a, we can add some properties to know that this CDT is also having 10 fields and it is linked with this particular table. So there's a XST information where we have updated that table name. And what happened is that when you try to query the information from the table, right, it was using that particular data store to identify the link between data type and then table, and then bringing the information, which was fast, but it was, if you talk about a huge amount of data, then it was a time consuming and it was also getting timed out. So to overcome this issue, Appian says that, let's move to the record, because Appian record can return you up to 10 millions of records immediately and very fast, as 10 times faster than this query entity, without getting connected to table. So what it means without connecting to the table is that, have anyone tell me what is the concept of cache memory? In browser we have cache memory, right? So what is the use of cache memory? Anyone?
It speeds up the browsing process.
Yeah, but what is the use of it?
It will store all the browsing history of the user.
Like every time we don't have to go hit the database, it can be retrieved from the
Right.
cache.
Right. So let's say you have installed Chrome very fresh, and you hit, let's say you are searching for, let's say, national flag. The word you have given, national flag. So what your browser will do, it will look for your cache memory. It is fresh developed, I mean, it's installed, nothing is there. It will go and make the query to the server. Give me the details for the national flag. And then from the server, once they receive this information, the question, they will return some response. And then you will be able to see on your browser. So it happens very fast, so we don't realize that all these things are happening behind the scene. I mean, we made the request, it goes to the server and then bring the information from there. Now, you have already searched for first time. Second time when you go and hit the same thing, national flag, again the browser will go and search in the cache memory. Do I have any information? If it yes, then it will give you the information right away there. And then also make a request like to find some updated information. So just to you should not wait until the request go to the server and bring the information back. It keeps the information what he has in the server in the cache memory, right? So to give you the faster experience. Same way, record type also gets connected to, it's connected to the table or maybe third party or any other places. So it holds the data within itself so that whenever you query, it can give it to you immediately. And then it can also make a query to the database or third party wherever and to bring all the information again. Meanwhile, if something has been updated, you can also trigger a scheduler in your record type so that it can sync the data on the off business hours. Now, why do we need a syncing? Let's say if something has happened in your off business hour, then in the midnight it can sync all the fresh data. So is it like if I go and create a record now, is it not going to impact and it will wait for the syncing? No. If you are updating any record, any data through the application process, then it will be auto synced immediately. However, if you are going to make the changes in the database directly, open the database and did some changes there, and on that time the record will not be synced. So you will not be see the latest information because the database has been changed directly, which is not a good practice. But yeah, let's say someone does that. In that case, that it's a responsibility of that particular user that you should also sync your record. Okay, so that's a record for you. The record gives you the representation of your data. Records gives you allows you to take an action on that. Create, edit, update, all those things. Okay. All right. Now, what else we have? We have process model. Any question on the record? We will be creating it for sure, more than one record to see how it works. But yeah, is there any question? No. Then we have process models. Process model, as we seen yesterday, it's a kind of a workflow to take decision on your based on your action. It can do multiple set of works, like saving the data, sending email notification, generating documentation, all those things it can perform. Process model. It can also be used to trigger a new action and all. We use create a process model. Then we have process report. Process report is basically the core data of your, in Appian. If you take, let's say for example, how many instances you have triggered in a day, how many tasks is assigned to you in the behind the scene. So all those things, all those data from the record within the core value of the section, if you wanted to bring it up, you can create a process report. We will be not be touching robotics, task and pull, as it's a part of the RPA. Then we have interface. Interface, as the name says, interface. We used to create a design interface for your requirement, your forms and all. We will be using multiple layouts, sections, box, columns, text fields, drop downs, all those things we will be designing it here. Then we have report. If you remember, on the tempo page, we had this report tab. So if you wanted to display the information there, we need to get this report. Basically, this is an interface. We just have to design that interface and link it here so that we can showcase that information under the report tab. That's what the purpose is. As we talk about the sites is basically the another front end for the users. There we can go and work on their respective applications. It will be application wise. And we also talk about the portal yesterday that if you wanted to provide some limited information to the users so that they can go and let's say do some rating, some question feedback and all, we can do it. We'll try to create this portal because portal requires web API authentications to be done, but web API authentications can be done only using this admin console. So, and we don't have this admin console here, but I'll see if I can explain you with my some older videos how do we create this web API authentication. Right. Expression rules. Expression rules are basically kind of supporting objects so that if you wanted to have some calculation, if you wanted to do some make some queries so that you can get the data, some manipulating some data format and then bring out some required information, all those things you can do so by using the expression rule. It also can be used as a kind of calculator. You can simply do plus and minus as well. So expression rules can do all the things that any supporting thing for your application is required. Right. AI skills is also new. It has been introduced last year. AI skills is basically so artificial intelligence, Gen AI. We are hearing a lot in the market now. So it can allow you to do classification of your data, and then it can also extraction of your data. Let's say you have a PDF file and then you want to do some extract some information from that. You can use this AI skills to do that. And then we have a decision. Decision is basically, let's say if I ask you, if my input is A, display apple, input is B, display ball, input is C, display cat. Likewise, we have all the alphabets. How do you write in the code?
By using this condition.
By using if condition, right? Yeah, correct. Any other options?
Map.
Map. Yeah. Okay. So if you're gonna write this as a if condition, how do you write it? How much line of code you think it will be? And how messy the code will look like? Imagine, think about it. First line if, second line you put a condition, input is equal to A, then display apple. Otherwise, again, you need to start another if, right? It will be kind of nested if. So the line for one condition, it will be 4 lines. So for all the alphabets, it could go more than 100 lines, right? So Appian has given you this decision in the tabular format where just on 26th line you can define A, B, C, D, all your inputs, and then respective column you can display the output. And when you pass a particular input, it will return you the data. So that's what the decision table is about. Okay, so it's created structure format like an Excel. In one column you mention A, B, C, D, E, F, and then here you have apple, ball, cat, all those things. So whatever input you will pass to it, it will match and it will return the data accordingly. It also has multiple properties, first in first match, rule, unique value, all those things we can see that. But yeah, that's what the property of this table. Okay, and then we see constants. Constants, as the name says, it's a data is remain constant. It should not be changed. So let's say we have an application that we have created, and we have like 10 to 12 interfaces, and all the interfaces we are displaying an information, the label of the interface, I mean the application name of that, all those interfaces we are displaying as um, supply chain application. Okay, so all the 10 interface you can see at the top say supply chain application, and we have hard coded this value in all the interfaces. Now, if the business comes and asks me, what supply chain application is not good fit, can we make this as a supply chain management? So what we need to do?
Update the constant, so it will
Right.
be changed.
So if you have used the constant, then we can upgrade the constant, and then it will reflect all the 10 places. Now let's say if you haven't used a constant and you have written the code directly on all the places, then all the 10 interfaces you have to go and modify it, right? So such kind of things we can use by using a constant, so that if you update only one place, it can reflect all the other places. Maybe if you have some static values for your drop down, so you can have all those list of the values in your drop in a mentioned in the constant, and use as a constant to your display the values in the drop down. So there are multiple uses of the constant. We can do that. Translation set is again new. It has been introduced recently. I haven't worked on that, but I can have a look at this, what it does basically, and then we'll come back to you. Then we have these three, which majorly people ask to do it very initially, but yeah, and looks like very heavy, but it's not that heavy. We have connected system, integration, and API. This is used to connect with the third party and share the information. When I say share the information, it means you can also query the data from the third party, and you can also expose your data to the third party. So when we create an integration, it means that integration, we want to bring the data in from the third party, right? Let's say we have some data available in the third party and we want to get it, we can create this integration object. We will have to do all those mapping, and then we will get the data. Now, in case if you want to expose your data to third party, then we will create an API, right? And what's the connected system is that, let's say you have a third party data available in one of the service provider called calculator, right? Now calculator has multiple services: additions, subtractions, multiplications, divisions, all the different services it has, but the service provider is one as a head, calculator. Now if you want to get the data for addition or subtraction, you need to get connected with the calculator. So do you need to connect multiple times to get the service?
No.
No, right? So if you go and create an integration to get the data for addition and to get the data for subtraction, so you will have to connect all the integration multiple times. So in all the integration, you will have to establish the connection. Now, as because all these services are coming from only one service provider, I can create one connected system with the service provider directly, the calculator, and use this connected system in all my different integrations. So the setup of the link between the communication system, we have to do only once within the connected system, and we can reuse this connected system in all my different integration objects if the service provider is same. Obviously, if the service provider is different, we will have to create another connected system. Got it? Any questions so far, guys?
Yeah, Ravi, sorry, off the thing. So
Mm-hmm.
similar like this in CDT and this thing, data store.
Mm-hmm.
So data store will connect as an connected system. Means just relevance. I'm asking, not
Right.
technique. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's a relevant that you're talking. So that data store is basically going to connect with your third party or maybe your in-house database, and it can give you the different entities connection point with that particular database. Let's say you have two database in your DB server, Appian DB1, Appian DB2. So if you are going to connect your data store with Appian DB1, it can give you all the tables that is within that particular database. Okay, table 1, 2, 3, whatever. You can
Okay.
create an entity and you can link.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Then we have documents like, let's say if you want to upload any specific format of your data, maybe any specific document you wanted to upload it, and then if you also want to create it, so Appian also gives you the repository to hold the documents. We'll talk about the repository in the below in the folder, but yes, you can also upload a documents. You can also upload, let's say if you wanted to display any image on your application, you can also upload a image as a document, and you can use that image. We'll also see that. And then we have a group and group type. So group is basically used to two different purposes. One is to secure your application, that who can access your application, and then also to take an action based on your role. So that's what we why we create a group. Now group type is like custom. If you want to have a generic group type, or we can have create a custom. It's very rarely used, but yeah, they have given as, if you want to create a group specific to a particular group type, then we can have, let's say if you want to have group type one for security, one for have permissions, so you can create different group types. Then we have feed is basically whatever we saw in the under the news tab, anything you wanted to display as a feed, you can use that feed. And then we have folder, we have multiple types of folders. One is the rule folder. Rule folder is basically if you want to create any expression rule, interface rule, constant, we can use this rule folder to manage your data in the data repository. Yeah, you can obviously create multiple rule folder specific to interface, specific to the constant and like all, but you need to create a rule folder. You can give different names. And then we have document folder. Let me show you. So we rule folder we have. Now we have process model folder. So process model folder will be holding only the process models. Right. And then we have a document folder. Now these document folders will be the part of all the knowledge centers that you have created. So we can create one knowledge center or maybe more, but knowledge center is going to be your topmost folder as a repository. And within this knowledge center, you can have multiple document folders. So document folder is definitely used to hold the documents. You can create multiple document folders. Those will be the part of this knowledge center that you will create. So knowledge center is going to be as a topmost, and within that you will have multiple document folders. Okay. So these are the objects we have in Appian that we will be creating to design our application. As someone has mentioned about the insurance, if anyone also has any other idea, if wanted to go with that, let's discuss, and then we can start working on those. Any questions so far, guys? Whatever we have discussed about the objects, Appian objects. No? Great. All right. So we'll stop here today, and I hope everyone has created their Appian environment, right? Practicing, they have their practice environment. Anyone has any issues having that, not able to create? Do you want me to go one by one and ask? Rashi, you have it? Not able to hear you, Rashi, if you were talking.
Yeah, we already created.
Great. How about you, Malika?
Sorry?
No, I'm asking to others now. Mallikarjun, how about you? Have you created your practice environment?
Yeah, yes, Ravi.
Great. I know, Rahul, you did. Swapnil?
Yes, Ravi. Right.
Perfect. And Vaishnavi?
Yes, I have created.
Oh, great. So everyone has their own practice environment, right? So let's go and see some, go around these objects. Whatever we have discussed for so far for the objects, if you wanted to see more, you can obviously check on your documentation. I will be sharing the link over the WhatsApp group. And then from tomorrow, if no one is asking, then we can go with some application for around insurance. Okay, so we will be having some claim. So the task for tomorrow is that, let's say, what kind of claim we can go. Let's say we go with the mediclaim, right?
Sure.
So what are the information we need to proceed? So any application, right? Any application, if you want to create real time or for learning purpose, what is the first thing you guys think is required? Let's say I ask you to okay, we are going to have mediclaim process to be created. Let's start. So where do you start? What is the
Det-
first question you'll ask?
Details of insurance.
Details. So mediclaim, it means there should be patients, right? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, maybe the users, whatever you can mention that. So their details at least, like patient details, right? So we need to have a table. So for any application, any other language, not in Appian, any other programming language you consider, the first thing that we need is called data model, right? So think about this data model. What are the information we may need, and you may create an Excel sheet for that, and then we can start from there. So whichever data model will look great, we can start from there. Okay. So think about the data model, create an Excel sheet with the table name and then their columns required, and then we can continue from there. So that consider that as a task, thinking about the data models for mediclaim process. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, guys, then let's stop here. We did a lot of talking today, but tomorrow onwards we will be doing some technical. So we'll create an application. We will start with the records and we'll see how we proceed. Okay. Any questions before we wrap up?
Nothing from my side.
Okay. All right. We are finishing early today, but yeah, that's fine. We can continue from tomorrow onwards for the technical things. All right, guys. See you tomorrow then. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi.